Has WrestleMania lost a little bit of its luster? To be honest, I kind of think it has. If you haven't heard, AJ Styles made some comments on the Raw recap show where he talked about why he chose to retire at the Royal Rumble and not WrestleMania. And I'm not going to read the exact transcript, but one thing that he did say that was like clipped and headlined, and you know how the internet works with stuff like this, but he said WrestleMania lost a bit of its luster for him. And it wasn't a dig necessarily at WrestleMania or WWE or anything of the sort, but it was an honest question that was brought to a lot of us when we heard that. And it really got me thinking about WrestleMania and about kind of where WrestleMania is today versus where it was 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And to be honest, he's onto something. WrestleMania has lost not just a little bit, but quite a bit of its luster, quite a bit of its excitement, quite a bit of its uniqueness, a lot of what makes it special and have its own identity in the WWE calendar. Because if we go back to years prior when WrestleMania was this once a year spectacular stadium show, and even before when it was still an arena show, it had that once a year vibe to it where it felt unique, it felt special, it felt different. And now with WWE, every PLE, especially the international ones, they're all these huge stadium shows. I mean, they don't have the elaborate sets anymore, so they can fill more people and sell more tickets, TKO, you know. But it gives you that WrestleMania feel all year. And when we get to WrestleMania, it just feels less unique, less special. It has less of its identity. And I think this year and last year and the few years following previously, we've had that kind of same issue. I think WrestleMania 40, they lucked into a great storyline where they had this great heel they had been building with Roman, and then Cody coming back and him having that organic fanfare, and then The Rock coming back and that creating that whole organic situation where it was just excitement and it felt like WrestleMania. But outside of that, what about WrestleMania 40 really felt WrestleMania? WrestleMania just doesn't have that hook anymore, that unique hook where nothing else on the calendar feels like it. Nothing about it feels unique anymore. It just feels standard. It feels like another WWE show that happens to be 2 nights. The 2 nights thing was different. Now SummerSlam's doing it. Soon enough, it's going to be 2-night Royal Rumbles with the men's and the women's on different nights. There's going to be a 2-night Survivor Series. Hell, eventually we're going to get 2-night Crown Jewels. The more tickets they can sell, the more money they can squeeze out of it. That's how they're going to operate. And at what point is WrestleMania just a name with no identity? You know, WrestleMania used to have the Undertaker's streak. That was an attraction. It was something different that you weren't going to get on any of the other calendar matches. Money in the Bank used to be something exclusive to WrestleMania that used to be extremely exciting. And now not only has Money in the Bank been moved to its own pay-per-view, but Money in the Bank doesn't even feel important anymore. It almost feels skippable some years. Sometimes it's used as a plot device for one night and then never brought up again. Hell, for the women, they went years where Money in the Bank was just cashed in on the night, and it just get rid of it as soon as possible. That used to be a hook for WrestleMania, and now it's just a plot device that barely means anything. Even the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which I was never a fan of outside of the first year when Cesaro won it, but they just moved it to SmackDown. It has no WrestleMania significance anymore. They've pulled that completely. There used to be a time where WrestleMania dream matches were this once-a-year spectacular, and now you get WrestleMania dream matches all the time. You get them on Raw. We just had Punk and AJ. We had Punk and Finn. We had Seth and Punk, their first match since Punk came back. They had that on Raw. Yeah, it was the Raw Netflix, but still, that's WrestleMania, and you blew it off. And then when we got to WrestleMania, we got this triple threat in the main event of night 1 that felt lifeless. What were the stakes? What were the cost of losing? What did Roman lose other than Paul Heyman, which could have happened any night? It wasn't like a WrestleMania match exclusive, but what was the stakes? What did Rollins gain from winning? Rollins was a world champion contender before WrestleMania, and him winning it wasn't necessarily a result of this major thing that happened for him winning the WrestleMania main event. It existed because of the buzzwords that they surrounded it with, but the importance itself was lacking. They had already blown off a majority of the intrigue with having Rollins and Punk touching for the first time after building this heated rivalry. On night 2, you have Cody and Cena, a heel Cena that we wanted 10 years ago. Now people just want to say goodbye. It wasn't going to work. So you have this heel trying too hard to be a heel, a babyface that people are getting kind of tired of at this point as the top guy, trying too hard to be a baby. It didn't work, and it created a very disappointing main event. And nothing about WrestleMania 42 felt like WrestleMania. There was no big hook, this big story, this big intrigue that really made us feel like it was can't miss. It was just, well, it's WrestleMania, so we might as well watch. That's not how it should feel. And it's unfortunate because I grew up with WrestleMania being one of the most exciting days of the year. Now it's a day of the year. And I hate that. I want it to feel special again, not just like another PLE on the calendar. AJ was 100% right, and him choosing the Royal Rumble was because it was significant to him. It was the 10-year anniversary of his debut. It meant something to him. It didn't matter where it was. It didn't matter that it was in Saudi. It was because that event has significance to him. And if you think about it, that event's been way better for AJ than WrestleMania ever has. WrestleMania has been disappointment after disappointment for AJ. Royal Rumble, he had that classic with Cena, his debut. He had the match with Kevin and Sammy. He had the match with Daniel Bryan. He was in the WWE title match like 3 times. Him and Edge touching for the first time in 2020. That was cool. He made his return, his final big return from injury at the Royal Rumble last year. Like, I get why it just feels more special for him. But for the people that are mad at him for saying WrestleMania has lost its luster, he's just being honest. And it's something I think we all know. Maybe some of us don't want to admit. Maybe some of us just want to deny that and keep this idea in our heads, this nostalgic feeling of what WrestleMania used to feel like. But that's all it is. It's nostalgia. We're living off what it meant to us, not what it means to us. WrestleMania needs hooks. It needs something special. It needs its own identity. I'm not saying it needs Money in the Bank to come back. You could be creative and figure things out, ways to make it intriguing. Make it feel special. Make it feel completely different than the rest of the year. The Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, WrestleMania Survivor Series, it's all just become the same thing. Only thing WrestleMania has unique to it now is the set, because every other arena show or stadium show has little to no set to sell more tickets. WrestleMania used to feel like a climax, the end of a season, and it just doesn't have that sauce anymore. I miss the days where WrestleMania felt truly special, but we're a long way off. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think about WrestleMania? Do you think WrestleMania has lost its luster? And what are some suggestions you have that could make WrestleMania feel important again? Let me know, and I'll catch you on the next one.